how's it? Welcome back, sports fans, Moving the Needle podcast. I've got an awesome podcast coming up for you guys. Now, normally I'm not beg, borrowing, and stealing to get a 19-year-old on the podcast. I think normally there's experience coming through wisdom. But when someone goes out and wins 2 World Cup races in their first year's Elite, he's a former junior world champion. It's none other than Jackson Goldstone, man of the moment. Unfortunately, he had to say yes because he's got a bit of an injury he's working through. But welcome to the show, and thanks for making the time.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Andrew. Stoked to be on the pod.
Yeah, I mean, I've been following your career, obviously, even when you were on balance bikes, it seems. I know your dad reached out and we found some of those videos and things, but it's been awesome to just see you, I guess, become a racer. Obviously, for me, I'm biased to that, but I felt like it could have gone either way. Maybe it still will go either way.
Yeah, I mean, I had to make the decision to go racing or the slope style route, but I went for the racing route, and I'm pretty happy with my decision.
as you should be. I mean, that's probably a hot topic. That's like, how difficult was the decision, and what goes through it, or is it just a natural progression? Like, yeah, how did that even happen? How does that happen when someone like you could probably do anything, and then when you're from Whistler, you could easily, or Squamish, you could easily have gone the freeride route?
Yeah, so I mean, for the decision was hard, obviously. You got to kind of pick one at some point, but for my thinking was, you can kind of fall back on freeride at later in your career, but it's really important in the racing career to make sure you get your first 2 years in junior to prepare yourself for elite and everything. So, I kind of made the decision, we'll see how this first year in junior goes. And, if it's barely qualifying or however it went, then I'll look back on freeride. But, went well and haven't stopped.
That makes a lot of sense, but it's also an experienced way to look at it. Is that your parents helping you with that? Have you got other mentors, people that have done it before? What was it like with that?
Yeah, it was pretty much just, me and my parents. The first year I had some, support with a mechanic and stuff, but my first year junior was pretty much just me and my mom, traveling to all the races, and I had, tons of sponsors and stuff. So it was, it was a really good year and stuff, but I wasn't on the factory team support. So it was, a bit more effort from me and my mom's end.
But then, when you're that young, you normally just do what you enjoy. So were you that split? Like, you enjoyed racing that much versus freeriding? Because freeriding could seem more fun. I guess you hadn't started training too heavy to have the nuisance of the racing world yet.
Yeah. I mean, I started training, pretty hard before my first year junior, and that was a bit of a shock for me. I hadn't done that much before, but now I'm used to it. Now I love it. It's definitely a lot different than the freeride world with how much you have to train.
So what did training look like back then?
Before I was racing and before I really kind of took it seriously, I wasn't doing too much, maybe a day a week in the gym max kind of thing. But I was just riding as much as I could before the racing, and just trying to do it all.
Because that's I put up a story in one of the questions. It's more a joke. Ask him if he knows what 700C means, and ask him how much he bench presses. So we've covered the bench press. You went to the gym. Do you even know what 700C is?
No.
It's it's size of a road bike tire.
Oh yeah. No, I've.
Do you even have a road bike?
No, I don't have a road bike. I've ridden one. I've ridden road bikes a few times and stuff, but no, not a massive fan. I'd rather just do my training on the trail bike, and then I get a fun down.
Yeah, it makes sense. And your off season, it's not exactly great weather for road biking out there.
Yeah, that too. It was, yeah, we don't have many good roads here either. If I was living in somewhere in Europe or somewhere like that, I think I'd probably do some more road riding because way more beautiful. But here we've just got kind of one really, really busy highway that isn't very road bike friendly.
No. So then,
that's my excuse, though.
I think you should run with it. I think it's a safety thing. So you're staying safe by staying off the road bike. Hey, man, it worked for so there's like the previous generation, you already know, like Nathan Rennie, Chris Kavarik. You might have heard these names. And they kind of remind me of you, where it was just bike type. It was dirt jump bikes. It was seat up on like a 4-cross bike and do cross country that way, and then downhill runs. It was just bike time, which is skill acquisition. And as a kid, you were probably exactly the same. Why would you train? Like, there's so much more to come. But growing up, were you watching mountain bike videos? Like, who were some of your idols? Because it would have been racing and free riding at this stage. Like, do you remember your first mountain bike film that you watched?
I don't know if I remember my first one because I've been watching and kind of in the sport since I was 3 years old. So stuff before I remember, but yeah, I mean, I just remember watching Danny McCaskill's videos when I was really young, and that really inspired me to ride and to do more stuff. Obviously, he's in the trials world, so I didn't go that route, but yeah, I can't even really remember what kind of stuff I was watching back then.
It's hilarious. Danny McCaskill. I thought you were going to say some of the Newell disorders or something like that. Danny McCaskill. But I mean, he's bigger than mountain biking for sure. But it is like trials, which is super odd for me. Yeah, I forget. I mean, is that you at 3 years old?
When I was yeah.
Yeah, how old? What?
3 to 5. Yeah. This is just when, that's all I knew how to type into the computer was DAN and Y. And then it would come up with Danny McCaskill's videos.
That's amazing. And that balance bike, how old are you and you're kicking around Whistler, launching off that stage? Like what?
Probably, I think, yeah, anywhere from 3 years old to probably 6. I could ride a pedal bike when I was 4 or 5-ish, but I still would prefer the run bike just because I could do way more on it and I had more fun on it. So I stuck with the run bike for quite a while.
Mate, have you seen that guy? I have to send it to you. That when this kid going viral, he's got like a whole setup in his back garden that his parents have made, and he is insane on a run bike. Well, balance bike.
I have seen that guy. Yeah, crazy little guy.
he'll be winning the world.
Crazier than me. Yeah,
he's gonna be winning a World Cup at 14 in Elite or some shit. So, did you buy the Porsche before the wins? Like, when did you spoil yourself with this Porsche?
Well, I wouldn't say it's a spoil. It's
no, I know,
it's nothing crazy.
No, when Sven told me you bought a Porsche, I was like, oh man, is he blowing his cash? And then I saw a Porsche. I was like, Sven, dude, it's like a runaround.
Yeah, it's definitely not a very good condition Porsche. It's currently, it doesn't have any wheels on it in my driveway right now. I'm doing some work to it. So, yeah, I mean, I bought it for like $5,000. It's a Porsche 944. I got that. I think it was after my first year junior. So after a few of the wins, but, yeah, it's just, kind of a little fun beater car. It's nothing crazy.
So that first year, you did great. Obviously, probably ahead of even your and your mom's expectations. Doing it on your own, that makes that decision pretty easy. That you're gonna just really focus on racing.
Yeah, I did make the decision pretty easy. Having those wins and it just motivated me to train harder and do better. And then I got picked up by Santa Cruz Syndicate after that, and the rest was history.
Certainly was, and you've certainly got started writing in that history book for sure. Going to someone like Syndicate, right? So obviously you've spoken a bit about Greg's influence late in last year. I think once he was sort of out of a title hunt, he could probably help you with yours. But Steve Pete was always there. Like, talk to me about the process of going to Syndicate. You must have had quite a lot of offers as well. So what was it like making a decision like that when you're so young, trying to look ahead on what's probably going to be a big decision?
Yeah, I mean, what was funny is before my first year junior, I was, trying to get on a team and emailing people and trying to get support so we could have done it that way. But I got turned down by a lot of people, and then finished my first year junior, and then all the offers came, obviously. So there was a few. There was definitely a few, but Syndicate, it was kind of the best from every aspect for me. I was able to keep the most amount of sponsors, and I was able to keep Fox, and obviously joining the Syndicate was pretty huge. So it just kind of worked out the best in all the aspects.
Yeah, definitely spoke to some team managers who were bummed they didn't get to sort of get you their side. I won't name names, but that is an influence, right? Something like having PD on there, is that, I mean, obviously his career was sort of before yours, but that goes into the decision-making process.
Yeah, definitely. And PD's such a great guy, and he helps so much, for things that you don't even realize. It's like, it's such a well-moving team, and, everything works well, and we're all working well together, and it's like, it's very, low stress. So, Steve is definitely a big help for that.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it. I think being a former racer and at that level, I've seen him in the pits, just simple things like it seems like he will help with goggles. Like, people think that's not a big thing, but to think ahead that you want to help them get their sort of rain goggles ready and just get things ready and take that sort of thought process just away from the rider, let them focus on the things. Like, those are just small things, that's something I quickly notice. I know there's a million things. He's obviously on track, and are you having conversations with him, like post-race, like breaking down the race, what could be done better? Like, what's your guys' relationship like now that you're a couple years in?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say we do like briefings, but, around the dinner table, we're all talking about GoPros or, our GoPro runs or stuff that he filmed over the day, or, whatever kind of lines. Vital raws are a big one too. We love watching those. So yeah, I mean, he helps a lot with line choice, and we talk about it quite a bit, but he just helps a lot. Yeah.
So you set up here, unfortunately. I don't know if you've announced how long you may be out for. Obviously everyone was following you at Hardline, and you've had this injury, quite a big one, unfortunately.
Yeah.
How's it been? What's it looking like moving forward?
Yeah, so I had surgery on my knee 5 weeks ago today as we're filming this. So it was kind of the middle of March is when I had surgery, and I had a full ACL rebuild. So it was a big surgery. Surgery went really well. Surgeon's happy, but it's a long recovery and a hard one to get back from. So I've been working really hard with my trainer and going down to see him like 3, sometimes 4 days a week. So doing everything I can to get strong again.
Yeah, and what's it like mentally? I know you're young, and I saw a lot of the messages. Even I was like, hey, you've got a lot of years ahead of you. That's easy to say. But what's it like you processing, like, shit, damn it, I'm missing the second year of Elite, and you're coming off a great start to your career. What's that like to process?
Yeah, I mean, the timing of the crash was pretty annoying, because it was, my second race of the year, but it's gonna put me out for pretty much the whole year. So I'm bummed. I would love to be flying over to Fort William. I think right now is when the team's going over. So I'd love for to be able to go, but it's a bit of a weird break, like not having to do all the training, not to do all the riding and still doing the training stuff. But yeah, it's a bit I'm getting bored in my days. I'm trying to figure out find stuff to do because there's not much.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, you're pretty busy, able-bodied, and are you more bummed that you can't play golf or that you can't go ride four-wheeler?
I mean, at least I think give me another month maybe, and I could probably start playing golf because it's my back foot. So I think it'd be not too painful to play golf. But I'm still I'm riding on a bike now. I can get a full pedal stroke in. I was able to get a full pedal stroke in and be riding a bike 11 days after surgery, which was really cool. And my physio was pretty stoked on that to see me spinning that soon. But just kind of the only riding I'm doing right now is on the Valley Trail and just kind of cruising around the roads. But definitely getting bored.
Bro, you're so lucky that that's where they go with injuries now. Like they try to get you mobile and the blood pumping as soon as possible. What do they tell you after an injury like that? Like, hey, we got to get you up. We got to get this thing moving as soon as possible.
Yeah. So, my trainer was basically we got to work. Obviously, give it a little bit of time to settle in after the surgery. It's not like I was trying to push it 2 days out, but I was just trying to get the movement, and it's really important to get your knee straight as possible because that takes a long time. So you have to start working on that really early. Like I still can't get my knee fully straight yet, and it's been 5 weeks. So if it's I think what they were saying, if it takes more than 2 months to get your knee straight, then they'll either have to put you under anesthesia and force it to go straight, or they put you in a brace that cranks your knee straight, almost like braces where it just tries to straighten it. So I'm really pushing hard to not have that problem, but I think we're pretty close. Pretty close to getting it straight.
Could you imagine them just wrenching it?
Yeah, it would suck. I really don't want to go through that. So I've been doing everything I can to get it good.
Yeah, but at least, as you said, maybe you can ride a bike. You could work on your short game, dude. You could chip and putt pretty soon. Like Tiger Woods has been chipping and putting. He has half a leg most of the time these days.
I did go to the
so you got no excuse there.
2 days ago, yeah. Hopefully the short game's going to be good.
Why golf? Like a lot of athletes from different sports pick it up. The mountain bikers are starting to pick it up. They're all following me, obviously. I was the founder of getting addicted to golf, I think. But it seems like quite the thing people pick up. What do you think it is?
I think it's just a relaxing kind of way to chill out, big day of riding, gym training, and then, you get to just go get angry at a little white golf ball around a golf course. Everyone said it's supposed to be relaxing, but sometimes it's not.
I was going to say a nice relaxing. I'm like, dude, what golf are you playing?
No, I mean the course here we have in Squamish is really beautiful, and it's nice to just go for a little twilight round every now and again, and I really enjoy it. I'm starting to get better now, so hopefully less swearing at the golf ball.
Yeah, and then the expectations get higher, and then the frustrations get higher. But no, I seen your swing. I'm bummed we didn't get a game when you're in South Africa, but no, you can swing it. It's good. But that's how I used it. I sort of put the bikes away in the off season, and then somehow find golf with mates. So it was always hanging out with them, and you can't really think of much else when you're trying to master this silly sport. And I think that really it helps you switch off from your day to day and think about training and performance and all these things, Yeah,
it's a really good way to get your mind off riding.
Yeah, you played a bit in South Africa, didn't you? You had a little riding / holiday / golf trip.
Yeah, I mean it was more of a golf trip than a riding trip. I just I'm good friends with Ike and Teo down there and a whole bunch of those other guys. So I just went and spent some time with them in Stellenbosch and Cape Town area, and I brought my golf clubs from home, so I was gonna make sure I was gonna get my money's worth and play a lot of golf. So I played probably like 6 rounds maybe. And I think I only rode my bike 3 times.
So it was a holiday. It was off-season
Yeah.
holiday. You think you'll be back?
It was a holiday to... Sorry?
No, sorry, I was saying, you think you'll be back? Like, what do you make of South Africa and the scene?
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, I really liked it. Yeah, really, really, really fun. I'll definitely be back. I mean, I don't know if it'll be this year or next, but yeah, definitely 1,000% coming back.
Yeah. Are the women prettier in Canada or South Africa? I'm just asking for a friend.
I'm not gonna answer that question. I don't know if my girlfriend would be too happy about that. We'll say Canada.
We'll say Canada. I hear you. No, I'm glad. I like it. I think it's cool. You have this attitude, like having fun. Obviously, you're training. You wouldn't be getting results you were if you're not training. Well, I hope you're training for the competitors' sakes. But no, I think it's cool that you're able to switch off as well and have fun, because it's a lot of pressure, being on these big teams and having the junior career that you had and someone like Jordan had. Like, you guys really pushed each other, and then everyone's looking at you, and me included. Like, we do these race reviews. I was like, these guys, the speed's there, and you seem to speak very well about, hey, I don't have expectations, so I don't know what it's going to be like in the elite ranks. You weren't sort of outwardly cocky about it, and I really respect that. But you guys delivered. I was like, I don't know what it's going to be like in the elite ranks when you're at the top and it's very quiet and no one else is around and it's the elite category,
Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely a weird feeling, going into my first race as an elite. I can't remember exactly where I qualified, but, just like doing your warm up and then looking over, and there's, Bruni over there, and then there's, Loris Fergie over there, and all these other, top guys that, I used to look up to. And it was a really surreal feeling to, be, doing my warm up right next to them. So it's a cool feeling.
Yeah. And I mean, did you have the oddest season, to be honest? This with all the health things weird. And it was weird. Like, maybe it was good. Like, you had a lot of distractions, to be honest.
Yeah.
To just not maybe put too much pressure on yourself, especially leading into the first one, having all those health issues. I mean, it must have maybe helped that side of it. Didn't help the physical side.
Yeah. I mean, it took a bit of the pressure and expectation off, which is, isn't always a bad thing. Like, I think, having a bit of pressure sometimes makes me, perform better. Yeah, I was basically just going into Lenzerheide, still pretty beat down and wrecked from the hospital just literally the week before. I was feeling okay. I was able to, ride and feel okay on the bike, but I just didn't have the strength and the power. Lenzerheide was only, I think, a 2-minute 40, 2-minute 50 track, or maybe even less. So pretty short, but I was absolutely exhausted. So I was more exhausted then at that race than I was at Mont-Saint-Anne, which is a 4-minute track. So it was, kind of goes to show how screwed I was. But it was up and down all year, up until for the first 3 races it was pretty up and down. I was the Leo gang was good. I was feeling better, and then all of a sudden I'm doing my warm up for quali, and I'm in a lot of pain again, and can't even do my warm up. I was planning on just going through the gate and then pulling off, because I was protected from the week before. And then I dropped in and I kind of started into getting in the flow, and kind of took my mind off the pain, and I was able to put down a pretty good round. I think I got 8th or something. That was after a weird weather window, and it was kind of an interesting day. And then Val di Sole comes along, and I'm feeling good, and then before my race round I start to get pain in my stomach from the appendix, and then I'm trying to do my warm up, because I'm well, this is my race run, I need to do something. So I was just kind of spinning on the bike a little bit, but I wasn't able to do any of my, other activations. And yeah, I basically just dropped in pretty cold, and almost lost it out the first corner, but got I got the it was a very loose run, but I got the run I wanted in the end. So it was very up and down until then, and then I left on that Monday, took a train to Salzburg, and had surgery on Wednesday. So it was lots going on in that period of time for me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously followed it, but that when I was checking in like the results and researching, we were chatting to Sven, I was like, holy shit. You think about what you went through as on your first year, and then to be able to reel these results, especially like a win and then another win, obviously. But with what some people would say, like really bad preparation, like people would say, but you didn't even warm up properly. Like, how crazy is that? If you just put your mind to something, like you deal with what you can deal with, and then off you go. Like, do you change your warm up process now? Do you go, okay, well, I won when I barely warmed up. So what, how ironic is that?
Yeah, no, I still choose to warm up. I think it's, I definitely get a better result when I warm up. I think it was just, the mindset I was in must have been pretty interesting. I don't know what happened in Val d'Isole there, but, it was pretty crazy because, I had like after the surgery was longer than expected, and it was really gross all in my stomach. There was tons of things happening. So, the doctor, like the surgeon didn't even know how I was like walking, and I just won Val d'Isole 3 days before, so it was a miracle to be able to do that.
And was some of it a little dangerous in hindsight? Like, obviously you can't change anything now. Like, are these surgeons saying it's a little dangerous or silly what you're doing, or just it was just the pain was the worry, not making like
I think it was the pain that was
things?
the worry. Yeah. No, I mean, I think the only thing that would have, really made it worse is if I, crashed on it and really like pushed, like, hit something into my stomach. But, I guess I risked it. I don't know.
No, I mean, it's hindsight. Like, there's nothing you could do now. I'm just wondering because the conversation with the doctor came after the race. They never said don't race, and you said, yeah, I'm gonna go race. Like, hindsight's a perfect science, especially for doctors, I guess.
When I left the hospital before Lenzerheide, so before my surgery, like before the season, I left the hospital at about 10 a.m. and I was riding the Morzine plenty at 1. So, I don't know if the doctor would have been too stoked about that one, but I needed to get some bike time in.
Yeah, but that's the best. Like, even experienced surgeons, and you ask them, so when can I ride again? And they don't know what type of riding many of these people are doing. No, you're good to go in 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, let me just walk you through what I mean by riding. Like, I'm going to hurtle down this hill, past trees, rocks, all these sort of things. Are you at the point where you might consider a better diet now? Seems like this is a wake-up call. Seems like it's a hot topic. I'm just asking. I'm also asking for a friend. Have you considered looking into your diet a bit more?
That's definitely a question from Sven.
No. Well, it is from Sven, but Seeger mentioned that you might have had an interesting breakfast in Queenstown some time back.
Yeah, I think that was a hangover breakfast. So I'll let that one slide. But it's not like I don't like eat bad food. Like when I'm at the races and stuff, I'm eating fine. But it's not like I'm not on a diet. Like it's not like I'm eating this, not eating that, not eating that. Like I'll eat the good food, but I'll have a little ice cream or a chocolate after, and that's just how I go about my day. So,
or a pack of Sour Patch. I couldn't say no to those things when I came over to the States.
I love Sour Patch Kids.
Pack. Oh my goodness, those watermelon ones. Oh my goodness,
those ones are good. The amount of Sour Patch Kids I've been getting after I did that Sour Patch kit with Fox, people are just randomly coming up to me and just handing me a pack of Sour Patch Kids. And for Christmas, all my family were getting me Sour Patch Kids. It was, it definitely didn't help the help the diet out, but tastes good.
It certainly does, and you can burn it off as a youngster. But no, that's funny. But I mean, that jokes aside, so this injuries popped up. You mentioned that you can get hurt riding your trail bike, right? I mean, you 100% can. So I'm all for that attitude, and like Hardline seems to be designed for you with the jumps. It's just a cool event for you, and you've obviously won one before, so it makes sense going to it. Do you think now, not because of Hardline, like in general, is this going to change maybe your strategy towards riding, practicing, racing, like when to push, when not to push?
I mean, it'll definitely, I pushed the limit too far at Hardline. I can realize that. I felt that in my riding, is that I was taking risks that were maybe a bit too much. And so, I've learned from that. And, now I know, if I feel this section, I'm coming in too hot, that's my limit. So hopefully, I'm always trying to push the limit, and it's like, that's normal, but, you want to do that in training and not, in your race run. So, I guess you want to do it in your race run too, but to prepare for your race run, you want to push yourself in training. But yeah, I mean, it's funny because everyone says Hardline, so dangerous, it's you don't want to get injured before the season, all this stuff. But, the section I crashed in was a technical section. Like it wasn't like a crazy hard section, but, I just got offline ever so slightly, and, that was that. But, I don't think there was maybe one or two like crashes on the big jumps, but everyone was, crashing on the technical stuff. So everyone's saying on Hardline, it's super dangerous. It's really not. It's the technical stuff that's sometimes more dangerous, and that's what we ride and train to do. So, yeah, I wouldn't have changed a thing by not going there. I don't think. I think it was still such a fun week, and if the outcome was different, I would have been still super stoked. So,
well, I've said
it before. Not going to stop me from going to the other ones.
No, exactly. And it's hindsight's a perfect science. Like, you see, we told you it's dangerous. Jackson got hurt. It's like, hang on, he would have done a preseason race. It might have been just as technical worse. He's going to push himself. But it's interesting that you have reflected. So, what do you mean? Like, did you not get enough practice on that section at that speed? Was the conditions a little bit different? And then your race run was just faster than you'd ridden in practice. And that was maybe in hindsight something you should have been smarter about.
We did have rain that, I think it was the day before, I think it was that night, actually. The night before, we had a whole bunch of rain. The way the lifts were set up, it was quite hard to do like a full like, and just like lap it. It took a while to get to the top, and then you had to ride down, 5 minutes, and then you drop into the track. So it was pretty, it was hard to get a lot of practice in. So, we did our quali the day before, and that was before the rain. Or no, it was in the rain was our quali. So we were, sliding around all like crazy, and then it got really hot and started drying up super quick for our race day. And so, we had one practice run in the morning, I think, or maybe two before the race. And, it was trying to judge the conditions was really hard because, some sections dried out completely and were dust, and then the other ones were like still super muddy. So, it was hard to really gauge that. And then obviously, by the time race run came around, it was like, 3-4 hours later, things dried out like a lot more. And so it was hard to gauge where the kind of track was at, conditions wise. So yeah, I think that was a bit tough for me to go into basically a blind track. You don't know how it's gonna react. So yeah, that was a learning experience for sure.
Certainly a learning experience, but now listening to it, it's a pretty big racing incident in my mind now, because World Cup, local race, if the conditions are changing, it's always a gamble. Even if you pick a speed that you think's pretty consistent, or you're chilling, like you can easily slip because mean, you haven't seen the track in those conditions. You can easily make a mistake. I mean, you were hurdling, as you've mentioned. Like you were certainly giving it a go.
Run. Yeah.
You were on a good run. And you were
Ronan fired me up. Yeah.
Yeah, you were going to light up the timing board. That I'll big you up. You were going to smash the timing board, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, you were giving it the beats for sure, but it still is a racing incident. You know, you could have been going half the pace and slipped and gone off track.
Exactly.
I guess, you know?
Yeah, I was looking at the video and I was maybe 2-3 inches offline, and it basically I hit the rock at the angle, like a rock about this big at an angle, instead of going over it, and it kicked my rear out into a hole and then just bucked me forward. So, you know, if I was that far to the left, rider's left, I would have made it through that section fine. But I came in pretty much no brakes to that section, and I should have maybe had a little brake tap.
And then practice in the dry, you'd done that speed before, like the earlier times?
Yeah, not that speed.
Okay.
Yeah, it was hard to practice. It was hard to practice and like do race run stuff at Hardline, because you know you're working your way down the jumps, and there's a lot of you kind of take it step by step through the practice. And I don't think we were allowed to do a full run until I think day 2 or maybe day 3 even of practice. So we didn't get that much practice doing top to bottom full race runs. So maybe that's something that we ask for in the future to limit injury. But I mean, I think maybe I'm the only guy that's gonna I'm one of the only guys that crash. So maybe that's just me talking.
No, when I was listening, I thought maybe that's something that can be suggested, that they need to carve out some time if you want to do full runs and start linking sections, because that's when you link a section, you maybe go into another section faster than you were expecting.
Yeah.
As you know, I mean, I don't have to explain it to you. I guess for the listeners, that's when things get a little hairy. When you're linking section, you're like, man, I'm coming into this way faster in a race run than when I'm doing sections, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And, for what most of us do, we're World Cup racers. And at the World Cups, it's quick lift up, quick lift down. Like you can pump out a whole bunch of laps, and that's how we train. So, to go into kind of, it is a different week. So I'm not going to, I don't want to make it like a World Cup, and it's a complete different vibe. But, just, from a race perspective, if we had that kind of training, maybe, and practice, where we could just, bang out laps and really get used to the track at high speed, it would have been a different story.
Yeah, I think as a safety thing, it's something to ask for. Maybe is like, can we have a session where it's, maybe no stopping. So Tasmania versus Wales. You obviously love that event. It's come a long way. I think there were some sketchy things that were probably the jumps. I think they'll admit, they've built things to test riders. We didn't know, the size that you could build for races and stuff, but it seems pretty consistent now, within reason, even in Wales.
Yeah, it's a lot better now. I remember watching, early days Hardline, and it definitely looked sketchy. But I think the Wales one, they've done so many tweaks and make it better and better every year, that it's now it's not really a problem whether it's sketchy or not. I think they've got those guys who learned how to build big jumps, and I think that's really important. You can't. Everyone thinks, you can physically go and build, an 80-foot jump, but to get the angle of the lift right and the landing, it's a lot harder than you think, and it can get pretty sketchy. So, the Tasmania guys did a good job as well. We weren't allowed. There was a section below the finish that they wanted to put in as well with some other big jumps, but they weren't able to get it running in time, so they had to put the finish line a bit higher. But all those jumps worked really, really well. I think after Dave McMillan did have a big crash there, and so he kind of, it helped make the jumps a bit more rideable. But sad that he took one for the team, but hope he's healing up well.
Yeah. Shout out to Dave. I've seen some of his updated stuff. Yeah, had a really bad crash, and And the thing with hardline or big jumps, like Darkfest, you don't have to ride when it's windy, but I'm watching that windsock and I'm going, it is cool to build huge jumps, don't get me wrong. Even you want it. However, if there's a time frame to run the race and the wind comes up, then what do you do? Because that's when things are going to get so sketchy, is the wind. It's not the skill of the rider and the courage of the rider, it's just luck of the draw.
Yeah, it's crazy. So in the final section of the Tasmania, it was like a big shark fin, another shark fin, and you're basically, I don't know how fast you're going, maybe 70 kilometers an hour, but you're speed tucking through this like, kind of set of jumps going super fast. And, there's not much you can do. You can't really like get pumps. You can't pedal at that speed. Really, it's not going to do anything. It's more efficient to tuck. And the first time I hit it, I had like that last jump I'm talking about. The first time I hit it, I sent it huge, went super flat. And that was when there was no wind. And then I came in again and I had a slight headwind, like not even like a big headwind. And I was pumping through those jumps and I could just feel myself losing speed the entire way. And I didn't have enough speed to go off the jump the next time, just because I was like, for that whole entire section, I was losing speed the entire way. Maybe it's because, I'm a smaller rider, but I think, everyone felt the same thing. And it's crazy, how, just a little bit of wind can affect so much.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, at Darkfest, it's not even windy, but the morning, the sort of air pressure is there, like the density. And then there's kind of a breeze, or like the air is just moving. It's not wind. It's moving up the valley. And then so in the morning, you're going like full tilt. And then you get in the afternoon and you think, okay, I'm going to go full tilt. There's no wind. And there's this downdraft that you can't really feel, but it's insane. Like it's so if there's actually wind, I mean, wind and bikes just don't go together in the air. That's just the fact.
I wish they did, because we'd be able to do a lot cooler things if we did. But yeah, definitely a hassle.
No, absolutely, man. So yeah, that's hardline. So you get to sort of tickle this itch of free ride and big jumps, and we love seeing it. Do you then miss speed and style or competing in other things that probably wouldn't help the career? Like, there are sacrifices you have to make now with this choice. Like, I'm a racer, I'm on Syndicate, paid to race,
sure.
Got a contract. Yeah, what's that like these days, or like thinking about it going ahead,
I mean, I was still able to race some speed and styles and some other stuff at Crankworks, but now it's I just love racing World Cup so much that I just put all my focus into that. Definitely, if the timing's right and I'm around, for sure I'll race a dual slalom or speed and style, and at the crank courses I still love doing whip off and all that kind of stuff. So it's I still try and do as much as the stuff as I can, but it's not the main focus. So I think one day I'll get into it a bit more for sure. Start getting back into gives me free ride stuff, but hopefully Rampage one day.
You think so? That's maybe a loose goal. Why not?
Yeah, loose goal.
Not
if the timing's right.
It's not normally an event that people say why not.
Yeah, if the timing's right and it's it works out, I would love to go give it a shot. I wouldn't be there to put down the same runs that Britt Reeder and those guys are doing, but I'd just go there and have fun and try and get good content and see what I can do.
Well, it makes sense, man. And why not? If you're confident in it, it seems like a cool event. Have you ever ridden out in Utah before? Like, have you even ridden the dirt and like ridden some of the features? Like, what is it like?
Yeah, so I mean, I've ridden it. Can't remember last time I rode it, but I've ridden it a lot. When I was younger, kind of like 14, 15-ish. I was there quite a bit. I've been to Rampage 7 or 8 times now, I think maybe. So yeah, we'd always bring my bike and go ride the old site that's, you know, just across the street there. Yeah, I mean, I haven't ridden it in you know, now when I'm, you know, a lot bigger and I could do bigger stuff, but I did take a moto trip there at the end of my second year junior, and watched Rampage and with two other buddies, and we just rode motos around all that stuff, and it's so cool. I love it there.
Yeah, okay, that makes more sense. So you sort of grown up, seen it, ridden. You'll be more comfortable. Like if I went there, I'm like, that's just not for me. I don't even know if I want to watch, let alone ride. But yeah, I at the time, well, I did a slope style at Whistler once actually, and people say, would you do Rampage? But I just was like, it's not good for my career. But like you say, if the timing's right, maybe depending on contract stuff, it could be super cool. What's it like watching those guys like in person? Yes, you've ridden some of the features, but it just seems in person like a whole other world compared to what I see on TV.
Yeah, it's completely different to what you see on TV. It's so gnarly. Like, you know, on TV you see the exposure, but you don't actually feel it. Like when you're looking over the edge of those drops, it's like, okay, if I'm, you know, 4 feet to the right, that's off a cliff, then into, you know, a flat rock garden or something like that. Like it's really dangerous. And, you know, they carve the trails out of the hills, and they do a really good job nowadays to make it quite safe. You know, I think back in the past, they definitely gave a lot less effort into their tracks. You know, now they, you know, some landings look like they're concrete. And I think that's pretty cool. And, you know, it kind of allows the guys to do more tricks and other stuff. But, yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy these days.
Yeah, man, it's transcended mountain biking, like how popular it is, and it's on those mainstream television shows and stuff. It's just, yeah, super, super scary. But these guys have been doing it long enough, they kind of know what. But is it kind of like when you go bungee jumping, you're standing on the edge, like your body knows you shouldn't jump off this thing? So do you get that sort of feeling when you're standing on these cliffs?
Yeah, a little bit for sure. I think, you know, I'm more confident jumping off a cliff on a bike than you know, with a bungee on me personally. But
yeah, well, me too. I think I'd rather
control, you know.
Yeah. I think I'd rather be forced to do a Rampage jump than a bungee or you skydive.
Yeah, I haven't skydived, but I've done the bungees over in New Zealand, which are like huge. I think I did the second biggest one in the world, and I'd much rather do a top to bottom Rampage run than that. So scary.
I'm the same, man. Those things, like, I think I've done a bridge swing, it's called, where you actually don't jump head first, but it was just as scary, and I think I don't really need to do it again. Maybe skydiving, because I've heard that feeling is not the same. Like, your body's not like, don't fall out. I don't know. Apparently that's somewhat enjoyable, they say.
I think because you're so far from the ground, you don't have that sense of falling, really.
Yeah, the perception of it.
And it just feels like you're flying kind of thing.
That could be pretty cool. Yeah, that would be really cool. Speaking of flying,
I'll definitely do it one day for sure.
What were you thinking on the whip-off in New Zealand? Speaking of dropping out the sky. Like, it doesn't probably feel the way it looks. Like, when you saw the footage, did you go, yeah, that's kind of how high I felt? Surely not.
Well, so that one was a funny one, because I remember the year before that I was in New Zealand, I was running with a guy named Matt Begg. He's, you know, one of the skeeziest guys on a bike ever, in my opinion. And he was riding, and he was like, you know, he's got some really sick tricks. He does big dump threes and stuff, but he was like, I just kept watching him like just boost to the moon. And I was like, dude, that's insane. Like, you just pull as hard as you can. And he's like, yeah. And like, he just kept doing it over and over again. He's like, it's so much fun. Like, try it. And so I, you know, followed him in and just pulled as hard as I could. And I was like, okay, here we go. Now this is like, it just opens up like a complete different, you know, kind of way of doing that jump. And, you know, it feels like you can do some different type of styles and whips and stuff. So I've just been, ever since then, I've been trying to go higher and higher on that jump, and it works so well. I wish the step down jump was a bit bigger to go in, because I'm like pedaling as hard as I can, scrubbing as hard as I can, and I'm trying to get as much speed as I can to go higher, because you could go higher on the jump, but it's the running that I need more speed. But it's just such a fun feeling, cranking off that lift and just pulling back as hard as you can, looking underneath the bike, and it's such a fun feeling, that jump.
That's sick. Like, it's such a dirt jump style, like pulling back off a lip, when you can get into a steep landing. It's that technique, right? It's the same thing, but on your downhill bike.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, trying to do the same thing. Yeah.
No, bro, dude, own it. It looks sick. I need to see his. You could send me some of his jumps as well. I wanna follow that along. Yeah, there's something about style, right? Like, I don't know. It's just, would you rather be known as a stylish, like one of the most stylish riders, or winning a race? And you're not allowed to answer both, because but I'm saying, like,
I think overall, if you win a race, you're gonna have a lifelong career. You can be steezy and you can be stylish and stuff, which I really, really try to do, and I love that aspect of it. But I think there's if you win a World Cup race, you're a top step in the name of the mountain bike. So I think that's pretty hard to beat. But it's definitely a close one for steez. But
hey, man, if you can do it both, you might as well like work on the steez alongside.
Yeah.
And so going into that year, was it in the back of your mind because of the times you did in juniors that a win is a thing that maybe you could aspire to do? Or does it just progress and happen organically in the season? Like, obviously Jordan came out, won the first one. I mean, that surely there's a flick of a switch and go, well, if he's done it, I could. Like, what was that like process coming in? And then once he'd done it, was there sort of an added pressure?
I think I knew that I had the speed and to win a race in Elite. I just didn't know if it was going to take me 2 years, 3 years, or, I didn't know how long it was going to take. I knew from my feeling, like with how I was riding, you kind of, have a gauge on where you're going to stack up. But, coming into the season, I was like, I had no clue where I'm going to be at. But, once I had that third place in Leo Gang, with that big mistake, and I was like, okay, I've got the speed now. Like, I know what it takes. So it's definitely, I didn't know it was going to happen that soon. I'm happy it did, obviously, because it's a pretty crazy moment. But it's hard to kind of like feel, is like this track gonna, like, am I gonna, is this race run gonna put me on the top step? Like, it's kind of like you have to do the best you can do, and then sometimes people go faster than that, and you have to accept that. But
and is Val de Sol, like, is it creeping into your mind with a style of track? Is that one where you're like, okay, if everything goes well, like, I definitely have the speed, obviously, so I could get beat. Before that run, did you catch yourself thinking, okay, if I put the run together here, surely I've got a chance?
Yeah, and you kind of get a sense of it as well from, how you do in qualies and semis as well. Like, I went, I think, second in qualies and then third in the semis, maybe, or maybe third and third, or third and fourth, or something like that. So I was up there the whole weekend at Val de Sol. And so I kind of had a sense of, like, if I put a good run down, it should be up there, hopefully. But I think that one, Val de Sol, was also tough with the rain that we had, kind of right after semis, but before kind of the top dogs went down. So when the guys were going down for their early race runs. But that was another one track that, you know, you're going into kind of blind and you don't know how it's going to dry up. But that's why, you know, I was taking chances for sure. But you can see in my riding that, you know, I was definitely getting away with it. I got pretty lucky on a few of those ones in Mount Soul.
Yeah, and maybe you sort of do have to in conditions like that, because the person that's willing to risk and stays on, risk a little bit more, you know, is going to have a really good chance. Versus like if it's just dry, then you've just got to be just going flat out everywhere.
Yeah, it's cool. I like the you know, added mix up of you know, a little bit of rain here and there. Like I think it's, you know, really shows who's on it and who's not. You know, I mean, maybe I just like it because I've gotten wins when that happens. Same thing happened at Montsanan, but yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah, but it's cool when you've having been able to do it, because then you're clearly able to adapt. So if it happens again, you're like, well, I've done it before, I can adapt. It seems like you don't let these outside influence things like affect you, you know?
Yeah, try not to as much as I can.
Well, that's the holy grail, isn't it? And they speak of flow state and things like that. Was that a flow state run? Do you remember much of it? Or have you been in the flow state?
I mean, I honestly, like, you know, I get into it pretty often in my race runs. There's lots of times where, you know, like most of my race runs, I only remember a few sections, if that. Montsanan, I couldn't tell you a single thing that happened. Don't remember any of that. Yeah, nothing. I remember coming across the line and then getting, like, you know, bombarded with people. But I remember a lot of Out of Soul because I was, you know, didn't have my warm up. I wasn't like quite as like locked in, if you would say. And I'm, you know, I remember having all those mistakes where, you know, almost crashed to the first corner and then uncliff and then, you know, missing lines all the way down the rest of the track. Like I had probably 6 or 7 mistakes in there, and like probably, you know, 4 times where I tried a new line in my race run and, you know, gone away with it. So that one felt like it was the sketchy run that got it done. And then the Montsanan one was like, that's the one that I felt like I was in control the whole time.
So Val d'Isole, do you think because it's so steep that mistakes don't add up as bad against you? Like you're still keeping momentum because you just sounded like you were attacking the whole way down.
Yeah.
And, you know, you said like I was going to risk it a little bit more. So maybe like any sort of mistake on a different track, you'd be losing too much time each time. But, you know, it's so steep there.
Yeah. I think at a track like, Montsanan and Val d'Isole, you know, they're a lot steeper, so you're not relying as much on, you know, strength and you know, pedaling as much. So it's more, you know, trying to slow you down to get faster, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think like Val d'Isole is it's steep, but there is flat sections that you have to get away with. But you know, if I were to have a mistake like that at, let's say, Snowshoe, you know, that's going to cost me 3-4 seconds because, you know, you're trying to get that speed back, where at Val d'Isole, it's, you know, it's pretty easy to recover. So, yeah, obviously, you know, you don't want to make mistakes, but, you know, everyone does at some point.
Yeah, for sure. Do you get arm pump? Oh, like, no, some people, not really. It seems like you do not.
Yeah, that's a funny one for me. I think I've kind of really tweaked my riding style and my setup to use my arms for steering only, really. I really use a lot of my legs in my riding. And, you know, I kind of just sit upright and, you know, obviously you're still using your arms and doing big push-ups and stuff, but I feel like I can stay light on the grips and not ever tense up and get arm pump. I'm not sure if that's my riding style because I don't think I'm the strongest guy, so I don't think I've got the muscles to not get arm pump. But yeah, I feel like I've kind of tweaked my riding style and set up to allow me to not get arm pump. But yeah, the funny one for me is like when you get so locked into that flow state, sometimes you don't even get tired. Like I got down at the bottom of my Montsanan run and, you know, I was fine. Like I could have kept going. Like I felt recovered, by the time I set my bike down, like I was already breathing normal again. So it's weird. Like obviously that doesn't happen often. For me at least. That was the first time it happened. That's why I was like so confused. But I felt like I was just like everything was so simple, and it was just like, lining up every line perfectly, and I got blinked and I got down to the bottom. So it's a really cool feeling, and I'd love to have again.
Is that close to as perfect a run as you would have planned at Mount St. Anne? Because that's from my side. I remember now, there's probably not a landing you missed. It wasn't a backside you didn't pump. Like you were making such forward momentum, but yes, it looked effortless.
Yeah. I made one tiny mistake where I pulled off that gap that Greg pioneered. I can't remember what it's called right now. Simba's Leap, and is what they called it. But I pulled off that gap and landed kind of on a rock to the right and lost a bit of speed, but like maybe like slowed me down like 0.2 of a second. Like it wasn't that bad. Everything else was pretty bang on the money. But that was a weird race to me because, I had such a big buffer from the semis. Like, I got the semis win by 5 or so seconds. So obviously, I'm going to go and do the best run I can, but I felt like I was riding at like 90%. Like I felt like I could have pushed harder, but, I looking at the video, it's like, okay, I'm actually, pushing really hard and giving it a lot of effort. But the feeling after that run was that I was just like, so locked in. Everything was so smooth that, it wasn't actually that tiring.
Yeah. And, the semi, then going to the final. So you mentioned winning by that much. Like sometimes that can be a negative thing. Because like, how hard do you push? How fired up have you made everyone else?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't forget that that I had to do a finals after the semis run, but it was pretty funny, coming down after the semis run and seeing that I was 5 seconds off. I put my hands up to the crowd and was, super stoked, like I won it. I think that was, I didn't expect to be that far ahead. I had no clue that I was going to be 5 seconds ahead. Like I thought, I was on a good run that I was happy with. I was like, I mean, maybe it'll win. I don't know. Like, you obviously don't know how fast everyone else is going to go. And then when I did that run and I saw that I was, 5 seconds ahead, I was like almost confused on like, not that like, what is everyone else doing, but like, how what did I do to go that fast? So, I'm still not 100% sure what was going through my brain on that weekend, but, it worked.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty special weekend, right? With the Stevie Smith anniversary at that race, and you being Canadian, like, it's pretty special.
Yeah,
like, you couldn't even write a better script, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, it would have, yeah. It was definitely ticked all the boxes I could have ever imagined in my career. Like that's, obviously I want more and I want to do it again, but, I feel like that, it's definitely a moment I'll never forget.
Yeah. I was going to say, shucks, you could just retire now, but you're a little bit young for that. So you better make some new goals and make them real quick.
Yeah, exactly.
And what does that look like for you? I understand it's an odd time to ask you, but we could just make this seem like a very long off season for you, which it kind of is going to be, I guess.
It is going to be, yeah.
Yeah, it gives you time to reflect, and I'm forcing you to do that. Like, what does the future hold? What sort of goals can you put in place? Like, do you want to go for the record books? Like, how long do you want to stay at Syndicate? Like, all these things, come to my mind, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even really know the answer to that yet, I don't think. Obviously, if I have a chance at, getting the record of most amount of World Cup wins, obviously I'm going to push for that. That would be crazy. But, I'm still so early in my career that it's hard to make long-term goals for me. Like, obviously, I want to take every year as it comes. And obviously, I want to win and I want to do the best I can. But, obviously it's, there's definitely, so many things that step you back. You can't really just say that you're going to do that. Future for me, I'm so happy where I am on the Syndicate. I'm going to be there for a definitely very long time, as long as they want me.
No, fair enough. Well, are you allowed to say, have you got a contract? Are you allowed to speak about how long the current one is? Because rumor is that it's quite a long one, like longer than some have signed, which is cool to hear. I think the listeners don't get enough of that info, and I think it's cool for them because other sports talk about it.
Yeah, I think they did actually put something out. So I signed a 6-year contract with Santa Cruz. So starting this year, so I've got quite a few years left in.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
In the contract. But I think I'm gutted that my first year on the new contract is with an injured year, but it's nice to have that kind of safety that you're not going to you've got something for the next few years and you're not worried about losing your ride.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. I think that's one of the first in mountain biking. If I'm wrong, someone can send me a message. But it's cool to hear it. It's cool for you. It's cool for the team. It gives you that stability that you can just focus on the racing. And not every 2 years you got to think about a new team, a new bike, and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm just so happy where I am that it kind of was a no-brainer for me.
It's important to me that the supplements I take are of the highest quality, and that's why for years I've been drinking AG1. Unlike many supplement brands, AG1 is constantly searching for how to do things better. At 52 iterations of their formula and counting, their team is always trying to find better ways to source, test, and aim to find the best quality ingredients available. So many people have asked me if AG1 is actually the real deal, and trust me, there's a reason why I've been drinking it for so long. Quality for AG1 is not just a buzzword. It's a commitment backed by expert-led scientific research, high-quality ingredients, industry-leading manufacturing, and rigorous testing. At each step of the process, AG1 goes above and beyond industry standards. Taking care of my health shouldn't be complicated, and AG1 simplifies this by making it so there aren't a million different pills and capsules to keep track of. It's just one scoop of AG1 mixed in water every day. I can't even begin to tell you how easy it is. That's because each serving of AG1 delivers my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more. It's a powerful, healthy habit that's also simple. AG1's ingredients are heavily researched for efficacy and quality, and I love that every scoop also includes vitamin C and zinc to support my immune health. I've partnered with AG1 and started using it before the podcast because they make a high-quality product that I genuinely look forward to drinking every day. So if you want to replace your multivitamin and more, start with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first subscription at drinkag1.com/moving the needle. That's drinkag1.com/moving the needle. Check it out, and the link's on the show notes as well. Now, I've asked you a few things. I put you on the spot. You're obviously super humble, and I know your parents and your whole family, I guess, helps keep you grounded. Is it difficult hearing these things and me asking about records, and some people saying he's like the Jed Lawrence, but in mountain bike, he's going to smash all the records. And even you like, well, of course, I wouldn't race if that wasn't a goal, but let's just pump the brakes a little bit. How difficult is it hearing some of those things and hearing the hype and listening to the media? Because this is now more of a thing that you're used to, but it wasn't there when I was racing, and I didn't have a career like yours. But what I mean is I didn't have to hear much shit. I just went home, did my training. There was magazines, a bit of internet, and then it started growing. But it's like all in your face at the moment.
Yeah, I think, it's something that I've grown up with. So I'm used to it. Not to obviously quite the same extent that it has been after, all the success, but ever since I was 5 years old, I've been getting interviews, and I think I signed my first signature when I was like 6 or 7 or something like that.
No ways.
Yeah, like
That's
it's
amazing.
something I've been around, so I'm pretty used to it. But yeah, there's definitely times where I'm just like, at like a signing session or something, and I'm just like, starting to lose my mind. I'm like, I just want to, do something else or go home or whatever. But I think it's so good to make the people happy, and it's good for the sport to do these kind of things and interviews and photos and sending posters to kids or whatever whatever it may be. I think it's it is cool, and hearing all the hype as well is kind of funny to me, because it's like it's basically just people talking. Like, I mean, yes, I do have the results to back it up, but like it is it only goes so far.
Yeah, it's actually kind of like noise. It's the same as a negative comment, even though that affects you more.
Yeah.
It's like, it's literally us on the couch. I'm like on the couch watching a race. I could say something, but doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
And then someone even worse that's never done it, that's even worse, like having an opinion on the internet. But you said an important thing, like you have grown up with it. So you're almost numb to some of it, or just, subconsciously deal with it probably better than someone that's thrust into that situation, not knowing how to deal with it.
Yeah. I think I'm just used to learning how to deal with it. And, I think it's, sometimes it's a good thing, if you get a big, thing on some massive page or some media thing, it's good to always be talking and in that kind of stuff. And, some of the comparisons that people, say on Pink Bike or whatever sometimes gives me a good laugh. But, I think it's important to have that kind of stuff.
And do you sometimes have like pinch me moments? Like you go in the garage and you got 10 bikes to choose from, and there's that number plate we spoke about from a famous motocrosser back there. You've clearly met some really cool people in your life. Sometimes there's a bit like, oh, this is my life now. This is pretty surreal.
Yeah, no, for sure. I still, every time I see like a photo of me, at Thought of Soul or Montsanan or, somewhere where I, won a race in the past, I'm still just like, that's really sick that I was able to do that. So I do get those kind of moments, or like, even just like looking up at my wall of Red Bull hats that I've got, everywhere. It's like, I've got way too many, by the way, but, it's still like, I've made it to where I am and I'm on Red Bull. Like, it's such a cool feeling. So yeah, I think, I definitely get quite a few of those moments.
Yeah, that's cool. If there was an athlete to collaborate with, maybe on a project or something, do you have anyone that comes to mind?
Inside mountain biking or outside?
No, it just doesn't have to be. No, doesn't have. Can be outside, can be inside. Give me both. Give me mountain biking and outside mountain biking.
I'd love to do something with a supercross rider. So, I mean, maybe like Ken Roxon or someone like that, where he teaches me how to ride a supercross track and I teach him how to ride a downhill bike. I think that's something that would be really, really sick. And I really would love to try and, see if I can make my way rolling around a supercross track. So I think that would be a cool project that I'd love to do in the future.
Well, I have a sneaky suspicion you have a sponsor that correlates, so I think there's a way to get it done.
I got a few.
Have you got your True? You've got the main one that you need. I think you got to get hold of his agent. Get your agent / you to get hold of his agent for sure. Yeah, that would be super awesome. That would be really cool to see. And I think I've seen him. I mean, he likes mountain bikes and stuff, so I think it's just a timing thing for both of you.
Yeah, it's a hard timing thing for him as well, because I think they've got like 3 weeks of vacation time or off season before they're back into racing again. So yeah. Luckily for him, he's not doing as many outdoors. He's kind of, he had that whole blow up with Honda, so he's kind of picking and choosing his season a bit more, which I respect. Like those guys, they race far too much. They get. Yeah, it seems a bit excessive. Yeah,
it seems a bit excessive. That's well put. That's definitely well put.
But then there's also, someone like, I feel like we should, like, as mountain bikers, we should be racing more. Like, I think, this year we've got, I think, seven World Cups, and I think we should push for more. I think you do so much preparation and training that, the fact you only get 7 chances at it, I think I think we should get more.
100%, million percent.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand
not as much as moto guys, Scott. But
no, yeah. Let's be careful what
more,
you be careful what you wish for. I've got this new series, and we're going to pay you a lot. So now you're going to race like 60 times a year. You're like So, but in saying that, I know there's red tape. It's all comes down to money as well. I think we got the venues, but we need the budgets. We need the money. But you can't have a World Series. Like, you should at least have 10 rounds and World Champs. And that's like a minimum.
I feel like that, yeah. And it's hard to say that it's, the World Cup, where for this year at least, there's, I think, Monson and Poland, and I guess, Fort William now too, but like everything is like in Europe kind of thing, except for Monson, that, it's not really a world championship, is it? It's kind of just like a European championship that everyone races at. So I think we should get, more places involved. There was a rumor that Worcester was going to have a World Cup. I think that would be probably the best thing to ever happen. But I think, other places, like, there's so many cool spots. New Zealand could have one, probably somewhere in like the South America would go absolutely crazy for a World Cup. So I think there's so much opportunity to grow the sport. They just, need a bit more budget to do it.
Yeah, I mean, they just had 2 rounds of the XC in Brazil, so they've seen the fans. We just need a venue like that with the funding to put on a downhill. I went to Brazil for downhill. It was unbelievable, and the fans were awesome. The riders loved
crazy.
It. I think so cool.
Yeah, I think so I went to Chile, and I did one of those urban downhill races, and I left, and I like doubled my followers on Instagram. I think Chile is still like my number one country, or my number one. I think Santiago, Chile is my number one city that like follows me on Instagram. So I've got
that's insane.
Such a big following from down there that but we don't do anything down there. It's like I think there's a lot of opportunity to do something cool down there.
But I mean, they can't all be mountain bikers. They're just fans of mountain bikers. The street racing thing, they're just fans. They're just like, bikes are cool, and I saw it go down the street next to my apartment. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it's like down there. Obviously, I've only been, just the once, so I haven't seen it, but it's pretty crazy.
All right, so if you had your way, some more races, what else? Is there something else you would, maybe from a younger set of eyes, say, hey, this would be cool, or maybe we could improve this,
I feel like in the race scene, I think the semis is it was a good try. I don't really like it as much personally, because it feels like, I think we'll see how it goes this year, obviously, with moving it to quality day. But, the problem I had with semis this year was like, you do your semi run, you'd have, not that much time to relax, and then you'd be straight in your race run. And then, you just like, after the day, you just be destroyed. Like, you felt like you couldn't do anything because it's, such a long day. So I think, from an effort point of view, like, you have to be like 100% locked in. And if you're, if you, put too much effort in, you're not feeling good after your semi, and you're still trying to recover after your semi, and then you have to go into your race run, yet you're not 100% firing, that's where, you could crash, or, a bad run would happen, or whatever, who knows. So I think they moving it to the semi to the quality is going to help a little bit with that. But yeah, I haven't really been that big of a fan of semis.
Do you want to hear my idea?
Let's hear it.
Okay, the listeners, they've heard it before, and they've heard the preview, but I'll try make it quick for you. Jackson, picture doing your qualification, say the top 30 go to the final, the next 30 or 40 that didn't qualify go into an LCQ. You follow Supercross, last chance qualify.
Yeah.
And from the last chance qualify, let's say 10 can race their way into the final the next day. So Jackson Goldstone, he qualifies third, he goes to the final. Would you be bummed if you didn't go to, like, you didn't do another race run that day? You'd be happy. You'd be like, hey, I'm in the final. I'm going to go walk the course. I'm happy, right? Someone else has a flat tire. He crashes. He gets 45th in the quali. So he's going to go to the LCQ. So he can recover. Off he goes. Then we all sit back.
Get back into it, yeah.
We get back into it. Shit, Danny Hart got a flat tire. He's in the LCQ. Is he going to make it through? Now there's this fast rider that somehow qualifies 7th. We don't know his name because we've never heard of him, but he's qualified 7th. So let's let him race the final. He doesn't have to do it again in the semi. Does that make sense? So there's the no-name guy gets to make it to the final, or the top rider gets 2 chances. And then you have whatever the number is. Yeah. So
I like
you
that.
heard it here first. It's a work in progress. I'm not saying the numbers have to be 30 and then 10. Like you can manipulate the numbers a bit.
No, I like that because
could you imagine tuning into the LCQ? Like, to me, that's something super exciting. I want to watch. Like, I don't know what to do with a semi now. I don't know what to do with the semi. Like, and I'm not shit talking the organizer. I'm not doing any of that. I just don't know what to do with it. I'm like, Jackson did that in the semis. Okay, cool. But like, I have to just watch him do it in the final, and hopefully he does it in the final.
Yeah, exactly. It seemed, just like another race. And kind of how they had the points set up as well. Like, the semi was so important as well from an overall standpoint that you kind of had to like really give it some. So, after doing your semi and final, it was exhausting. But I do like the LCQ idea. I think that would be pretty cool. I maybe people would get mad that some guys are getting time to relax when the others are not. But that I think it's if everyone agrees on it, and that's just racing, and it would work pretty well.
Yeah, I guess so. So we'll see. I mean, they've moved it to the day before, so you're not gonna be there for the first couple of rounds of the whole season. So it will change the dynamic, but you still risk qualifying well and then having a flat in the semi and then not being in the final where everything counts. Like, that's like, it's just a bit of a danger, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It just kind of adds another time for you to get knocked out or like eliminated out to the final. So it's it can go either way. It can be good or bad for you.
Yeah, exactly. So, and collaborating with someone in the mountain bike industry, because I said, who would you collaborate? Like, in the mountain bike industry? I was like, no, go outside. But
that question, I haven't thought of this one before. I feel like I'd like to do a video with like Brandon Semenek, but not just for like freeride stuff. I'd love to see him like go fast, because I don't know if he posts much about it or whatever, but like, he is an incredible bike rider, and I think he could actually be pretty close to qualifying for a World Cup. Like, he is so quick.
Really?
I mean, maybe not.
So it's not
a World Cup, but like you put him into like a Crankworks maybe or something, or like, I don't know what race it would be. Like, he is fast on a downhill bike. I don't know if he has that much desire to want to do that anymore, but I remember following him when just in Whistler when I was maybe like 15 or 16, like when I was starting to get faster and faster and kind of feeling pretty good, and I remember him just like absolutely dropping me. So I think that would be cool, kind of doing a video with him, kind of bringing him into the downhill world a little bit, but then also doing some freeride stuff as well. I think that would be pretty cool.
That's an epic idea. You do have a sponsor that correlates as well. That's a cool idea, is because you do see him, he's going fast, but he's always got his tweaks and stuff, and it's like quick movements, and it looks great. He's hauling, like, I can see it's fast. He doesn't just do the style when he's riding his downhill bike. even in these edits. Like I can see the speed and everything's perfect. And I know he's methodical about those edits, but to hear you to say, no, if he actually just goes in a straight line down this trail, like he's fast, that's pretty cool. And
he's quick.
If he's keeping up with you, that's going to be cool. And then he's dragging you to learn some new tricks. It could be really cool.
Yeah, I think that'd be a cool idea. I don't know. I just kind of thought of that one on the spot. So maybe I need some more, I need to make it happen now.
Yeah, definitely. At some point, when the time's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Got a few more years on your contract before you have to focus on other stuff. Call them what you want. Knee knockers, golden nuggets, thigh slappers. But our friends at MANSCAPED refer to them as the boys. Not every man has children, but every man is responsible for their 2 boys below the waist. When your little guys have more hair than they need, trust MANSCAPED for your grooming dreams. So join the 10 million men worldwide who trust MANSCAPED by going to manscaped.com and use code MOVINGTHENEEDLE for 20% off and free shipping. You heard it here first. The boys are back in town. Now picture this. You're shredding down the gnarliest of trails, feeling the wind in your hair, and then it hits you. You need to tame the beast below the belt. That's where MANSCAPED comes in. With their cutting-edge technology and precision engineering, you can now groom with confidence, just like you conquer those downhill descents. You know what they say, look good, feel good, and ride good. Every man knows how scary it can get when they're going for a close shave below the waist. That's why I trust MANSCAPED for all my sensitive areas. Introducing the Lawnmower family, now including the Lawnmower 3.0 Plus, the 4.0 Pro, and the 5.0 Ultra. Yep, you heard it. That's 3 ball trimmers. Isn't that awesome? Boys need love too, and for this reason, each trimmer is equipped with skin-safe technology, an LED spotlight, and unique features for different grooming needs. Oh, and these babies are waterproof too. Need I say more? For the basic trim, why don't you go with the 3.0 and work your way up to the 4.0 and then the 5.0 for the ultimate grooming experience. Taking it on the go, you ask? MANSCAPED has you covered. These trimmers come with a travel case and even a travel lock feature, so avoid any accidental powering and or weird looks in that airport. Now get 20% off and free shipping, as I said, with the code MOVINGTHENEEDLE at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus your free shipping with the code MOVINGTHENEEDLE at manscaped.com. For the best your boys have ever looked, you got to trust Manscaped. With your size and stature, and you've spoken a bit about that, like where do you see the advantages and then maybe disadvantage of your size, riding style?
I mean, anywhere that you need to try and like carry speed on a flat, I struggle big time. I can do as much as I can to, pump the rollers and do all that and come out with as much exit speed as I can. But, I just don't quite have the same mass that, carrying me down the hill. So I think, the steeper the track, the better for me. I think tracks where you're not having to try and push for speed, but you're actually having to like slow yourself down because you're going like it's so steep. I think those kind of tracks are where I do the best and I have the most fun. So I think, no track is completely steep, and every track, has sections where you have to come out and carry speed and, pedal to the finish or pedal across this little section. But, I think that's definitely a disadvantage. Like a track like Snowshoe, I struggle so hard, just trying to carry speed across those flat rocks. Like it pains me because I'm doing as much as I can, and I just, I can feel like the guy's pulling away from me, so it's like, yeah, it's tough, but
yeah, that'll be a tough one. And somewhere like Ludenville, do you feel yourself pushing harder in the steeps? Because maybe knowing like you might have given some up at the top, do you change your strategy? Is just like, I just ride it how I'm going to ride it, and if I've lost time at the top, so be it.
Yeah, I struggled a bit with Ludenville, even like the whole carrying the speed part. Like I even struggled with a few of those small little exit corners. It's kind of made slight mistakes that, sets you back so far on a, that long of a straight. So, I remember making one like kind of mistake into a fast section at Ludenville, and I was like, just like feel like I've gone faster than this on the section, but I just can't get it. Like can't get the speed back. And so, yeah, I knew I had to push hard for the bottom there, but I was giving it my all for that upper flat section, and then I was almost 3 seconds back, and was able to pull back to within, I think, half a second by the time I finished my run. But I think if I was able to carry enough speed as Loic on the top, it could have been a different story.
Is that something, what I'm hearing is like you made a mistake, and I think this is where Greg's really good, like knowing where he can push, where he can't, as well as maybe where he's not as good. You got to be super precise and not make any mistakes, especially there. Like if you're already giving up time in a perfect run, then you can afford to make less mistakes there.
Yeah, exactly. Ludenville, like, I think once you get into the steeps, like a little mistake you can make up from, but if you make a mistake on those flats, it's game over. I mean, like, I was able to recover it a little bit, but I got fourth, and it felt like a really, really good race run, and I'm not complaining. I'm stoked on the fourth, but I basically just made up all the time on the steeps.
Yeah. What's something maybe interesting or surprising you learned about yourself, maybe in the last year or through this mountain bike career?
I think I've learned how different I am to everyone.
I'm listening.
I think it's funny maybe not funny, but like it's cool to see that how I came onto the circuit. I'm doing well. I'm kind of just doing my own thing. I'm obviously inspired by these guys like Greg, Loic, all those guys, but it's not like I'm trying to copy what they're doing, if that makes sense. I had my good season. I'm doing everything I'm doing. I'm loving it. And it's funny to see that, now people are trying to copy me. So I think that's one thing I've learned about myself, is that I've kind of, almost sparked like a different kind of aspect of style and racing into it a little bit. I don't want to, pump my brakes or pump myself up too much, but I think it was funny to hear that Loic, he's trying to lose weight because of me. I don't know, but it's funny to see how I shook things up, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think it's a brag. I think what I was hearing is, maybe accepting that you are different. Like, you are a lot younger as well. Like, normally you'd be hanging out with the guys in the same sort of result circles and same age demographic, but Jordan's on a different team. He had this rivalry with him, and that's maybe why you mates with Ike, you mates with Teo. They're a little bit younger generation, having a lot more fun, and that's where you're at.
Well, Teo's not quite younger generation.
No, he's actually true. Let's throw him under the bus. He's old as shit now, isn't he? He's over the hill. Yeah, true. I'll tell him you said so as well, or you agree with me. True.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I mean by that is, it's like hard. You're not going to relate on everything with the guys. That's kind of natural. But it's pretty cool that you're bringing this sort of youthful riding style. That's not a brag. It's just how you grew up riding, with all the free ride and dirt jumping and bike park style stuff. And then you brought that to World Cup, and everyone's going, oh, well, we went down this road following after Gwyn, and it was this style, and then it was the Loic style, And now some people are like, maybe I have to double everything down this whole track. That looks like a fast way to do it. Let's smooth out this track.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just kind of shaking things up. I think it's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. And to back yourself that you're different. Like, if you've learned that, that's pretty something to hang on to. Like, trust yourself and the way you're doing things. And I think you've got the guys in your corner for that, like the team and your mechanic and stuff. It seems so, at least.
For sure. Yeah, I've got everything I need to perform.
That's cool, man. Well, maybe we'll start cruising to an end here, because you probably got some physio to get to or something else. But
I do have a physio pretty soon here, yeah.
Okay, if you've got a hard out, you let me know, and I can wrap it up. I'm a pro at wrapping things up.
Yeah, got another
soonish
5 minutes or so, yeah.
I did want to ask, since like we're not going to see you at the race, and that's like a bummer for me coming into the season, because you would have been one guy in a title hunt. But now you can sit back, you're going to watch some racing. Like, who do you have your eyes on for be title contenders? And then question 2 is maybe who breaks out for a race win?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, like, there's, the Brunies, the Finn, Greg maybe. I think Laurie's going to be coming in hot this year. Like, I think it's going to be a good season. There's, the guys that have always been around for the title hunt. Emery's coming back. Who knows what he's going to do. I think it's really hard for me to kind of say on who's going to come in hot or who's not. Cause I've been dealing with my injury. I'm kind of out of it a little bit. So I don't really know who's doing what, but, yeah, I think Loic is obviously always a contender. But I think Laurie's going to come in hot at Fort William. I think he's kind of ironed out some of his problems in the past. I think he's going to be really, really riding well. So I can't wait to see that. It's going to be a good race.
It's going to be a great race, and we have him as someone that could stir things up big time because he had like couple health issues and stuff. You think he's ironed that all out and he's the strong Laurie we normally see?
Yeah, he had some weird stuff that I kind of didn't I didn't really even know what was going on, but I'm pretty sure he's dealt with it. He's back healthy again, so I think it's he's definitely going to be a different Laurie.
Yeah, and then maybe breakout, like I've got someone like Dakota Norton, and then obviously Ronan Dunn. Mm-hmm. You're a big mates with. Like, I think those guys, they win a race, no one's surprised. Like, they could break out this year.
They got that Moderator team strong this year. I think, with Ronan, Dak, and Ryan there, I really want to see Ronan do well. I can't wait. He's one of my tight buddies, so I'd love to see him pull something out.
Yeah, I like to see how much fun you guys have. But he seems to like settled in, because I was like, the consistency is my question mark coming into this year. And then even this year, past year, he seemed to figure out the consistency part as well, which you have argued like that could be a weakness, but he seems to have ironed that out.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a lot better from what he had in past. It's so hard to be, that as consistent as you need to be to win the overall. Like, everyone's making mistakes. Like, like last year, he won the overall with, a crash, and like in Andorra, we got caught by the rain. So he was, I don't know, maybe 40th, or can't remember the exact place. So it's like, to be, no one's going to be consistently podiuming at every race. Something's got to go wrong. So I think it's all about, trying to manage your bad races at this point.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. Well, you've given us lots of your time. I know you got to get some physio done, maybe fix your Porsche, maybe get some short game.
That,
tighten up that short game. What about some advice to some up and coming riders? I think you relate to the younger generation far more than a lot of people I chat to. Like, they take advice, but maybe they can really relate to someone like you with your age.
Yeah, I think, my advice and what's helped me, come up for my whole career is just the love of the sport and, enjoying it the whole time. I think I live in a pretty amazing place to help that. So I am lucky in that sense, but, if I'm even in my off season, like I got home and the trails are running so good and we had so many fresh loamers, in the off season, I caught myself riding like, 4 or 5 days a week still. So I think just the love of the sport is what helped me get to where I am and is what helps people get really far. So I think, just going out riding, doing different stuff every day, not just, going and doing downhill training and trying to, get faster and faster. It's like, go to the skate park, go to the dirt jumps, go mess around your town and try and like jump off stairs or go upstairs or do whatever. Like, I think, just learning to be comfortable at every single aspect of mountain biking will help you, progress and become a better rider.
Dude, that's awesome advice. Because if I ever get asked or people speak to me, I say the training's going to come. Like the structure will come. Like you need to build skills. So dirt jumps, pump track. Maybe you're not that good at it, but
exactly.
You can't do too much of it. It's only going to help you. And that's awesome to hear it from, because you're like case in point, new school generation, riding everything. But yes, focusing on one thing and it shines through. That's pretty cool. Because, Sven was saying, like, ask him about the diagrams I send him about what trick to do on what jump at a World Cup. And then he comes and does that, and then he is still able to do well. Like, how does he do that? But I'm hearing, like, you're just making sure you're having fun along the way while you focus.
Yeah, I mean, I think, for me, I have, such a big media following and I love, getting content as well. So for when Sven sends me that stuff, it's kind of nice to, do that little section, take my mind off trying to go fast and get some good content that I can post later. So, it's always funny working with Sven. His diagrams are sometimes pretty hard to follow though.
Well, at least he's not sending you voice notes and shouting at you like on a normal photo shoot. So maybe it's better to get.
He still does
doing that as well.
But yeah, he's not shouting at me. He just sends me voice notes all the time. It's funny though,
mate. Thanks so much for making the time and what you bring to the sport. I know it's tough. You haven't been in it that long on the world stage and winning World Cups, but you're handling it well. Like you really are. It's cool to watch from the outside.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so you listeners, make sure you follow him on Instagram. You will not be disappointed. I'll link to it in the show notes. And if you had a good time listening to this one, make sure you check us on YouTube. And I think you know what else to do. Leave us a review, follow, all that stuff. And Jackson, heal up real soon, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.